Hey guys, it's Seaggs. I'm going to show you how to Techpack out this t-shirt for my brand Magdalse. So a Techpack is a instructional form that you fill out to explain to your manufacturer exactly how you want your garment made. This is the Seaggs Techpack. You can do any Techpack from Limitless, Seaggs, Google, Etsy. They all kind of include the same information as long as you show what your mock-up looks like, measurement details if you want custom measurements. If you have rhinestones, screen print, embroidery, you can call attention to that. You can show your graphics down here and have measurements, show the location and placement and distance of everything. A Techpack is just an easy, clear form where you can put all of your instructions. So page 1 is our cover. You just put your mock-up here. It is the first thing that the manufacturer will see. Hey, this is what we want our garment to look like when all is said and done. Page 2 and 3 go together. This is just the stripped down outline version of our garment because we're going to put red lines and measurements and details on this. And this is the complementary like textual sizing. So right now I'm gonna go to my closet and pick a shirt that I like the way it fits, and I'm gonna throw it on the ground and I'm gonna measure it out. So this is my reference shirt, this Denver Carhartt shirt, inspired the one we're working on. So I got a tape measure here. So we're gonna look for the torso height. So you go up to right here at the top of the neck collar. So put it there and go all the way down. And this says 29 inches. Now we're gonna go to the chest width, which is the bottom of the armpit. And this shows 23 inches. We can do the waist, which is about 24 inches. The sleeve opening is 8 inches. The lower sleeve is about 5.5 inches. The outer sleeve is about 10 inches. The armhole opening is about 11.5, 12 inches. And you can also get the width of the collar. It's about 0.75 inches. You can get the distance between the top of the collar and the bottom of it, which is about 3.5 inches, and the width between the two collar points, which is about 6.5 inches. And this will come later in the Techpack, but the pocket is about 5.5 inches, but ours is gonna have a flat pocket, so we can still do 5.5 for that. And lastly, we have the shoulder width, which goes from the shoulder seam to the other shoulder seam, and it's about 20 inches. We're back in the software. I put the measurements and I tweaked some of them. Our reference shirt is size XL and the sample is going to be size XL, so I put it under the XL column. I got those measurements with the rose number and put them on the outline over here. So this looks a bit busy, but it shows exactly what row, what description, and what the measurement is. Now we are at the materials, adornments, and embellishments. So here, this is to showcase or bring attention to specific materials or hardware or things that are a bit different on your garment. So if you had a metal stud, you'd put one of them here and say 5 metal studs on the garment, and then you'll explain it later. Or a rhinestone, or a specific type of embroidery thread, or a specific leather tag. So let's fill this up. First is the inside neck tag. I already drew this and I blew it up so it's a little bit bigger and more visible on this page. Super easy. A call out to the thicker ribbed collar, as well as a picture of a thick ribbed collar as well. Always good to add references. Next is the material itself. You don't have to put this, but I like to, just to cover all my bases. Double layered 150 GSM. I want it double layered because of one of the elements that I will explain in a second. Next is the leather chest tag that will be on the chest pocket, as well as the size of it. It is a perfect square, so 1.5 inch for the height, which also means it's 1.5 inches for the width. Then I bring attention to this back puffed neck vent. This is the reason I want the double layered cotton, because when you do this type of process, you basically cut a hole into the garment and then put the puffed mesh behind it and then stitch it together. So there's going to be some extra internal stabilizer, fabric, lining, whatever you want to call it. And we don't want that itching the back of the wearer's neck. So we're going to have a double layer of thin cotton, so it's nice and smooth and clean on the inside. And lastly, we have the tuck and stitch area on the back of the shirt. Because remember, we're going to have this little kind of Halo Spartan-y Gundam mech type of backing here, and that look is achieved with this stitching right here with these vent tucks right here. Okay, so this is our materials, adornments, and embellishments, all the weird stuff that's on the shirt that I want to bring attention to. You can never be too clear in a tech pack. Even if you over explain stuff, it's way better than under explaining, and then the manufacturer has to, air quote, fill in the gaps, and then they do stuff without letting you know, and then your sample and clothes don't really look exactly how you want them to. So now it's to the callouts page. This is pretty similar to the previous page with the adornments and materials and stuff, but we're just giving more visuals to what's already on our mock-up itself. So we're gonna start with the neck tag, super easy. You take the 1 and you drag it up here and you point at the neck tag. Going down the shirt, we have the thick ribbed collar. Take our number 2, the 1's already right there, so I can direct select the red, rotate it, move it over the 2, and then have it pointed at the collar right there. Next is the front pocket. Take this 3, point it right at the pocket there. Next is the leather tag. We take the 4, and I can direct select the red and rotate it, move it back in position, and point it at the leather tag right there. Next, we have the back neck puffed vent. Take this 5, point it there, and the layered tucks and stitching on the back. Take the 6 and just put it right there. So this is the callouts page. You might have less than this to call out, you might have more, but the purpose is to work in tandem essentially with this. This is a bit more like focused on the individual neck tag, the individual collar, the individual fabric tag, whatever. This physical callouts page is more so, here's the mock-up, let me explain while you can see the whole thing in front of you. Again, just being more clear, more details, more information. Next is the colors of the garment. So I took my shirt and moved it over here and deleted all the details, so it's just the shirt itself, and I wrote just vintage washed black like the reference below, subtle all over. So this is the reference I'm gonna use. I found this on Google and I thought this is a nice vintage washed shirt. This is correct. I have a personal, I don't know what it is, but every time I do a vintage wash with anybody, it turns out like this, very splotchy, very, what is it, blotchy, splotchy. It looks like a 70s Grateful Dead kind of shirt that you would buy at a merch booth from a guy on acid or something. I don't like that. I want like an all over subtle vintage wash. So I really try to be overly clear and say, this is the right way to do it. This is the wrong way to do it. Do not do it this way. I really try to make it red, make it big, show them, please do things this way, don't do it this way. If you really want to get something in their heads, you can also tell them what not to do. Do it this way, don't do it this way. Okay, so that's it for the color. I could do a Pantone, but I could put this in, I could take the hex code, put it into a hex to a Pantone converter, and then it'll spit out some color. But I think sometimes with certain details, if there's a lot that could go wrong, as in maybe it's too bright, maybe it's too dark, maybe it turns out like this, sometimes I pull back a little bit and do let the manufacturer fill in the blank a little bit. Controlled filling in the blank, you know? So instead of a Pantone, I just say, hey, black shirt, vintage wash it. So however they interpret that, hopefully this is enough. They know internally, okay, this customer, client, me, wants this kind of vintage wash. We can see what that looks like. We've done that before. We know the process, and then they'll do it. Ideally, that's how they do it. Ideally. Next is the neck tag, black and white, just woven for both, super simple. Then the leather tag. So I took the brown. So the brown here, I took the hex code, just select it, Command C or Control or Alt C, whatever it is on PC. Copy it, go to this website, codebeautify.org, hex to Pantone converter, paste it, make the distance as lowest as it can be, and then pick one of these Pantone colors. Pantone 872C, again, reiterating it's 1.5 inches, because why not? More info is best. And that's it. And then finally, we have the colors for our puffed mesh vent on the back neck. Did the hex code to Pantone 372C, happy with that, 2.7 inches wide. And I also depict the distance between the stitching, the double stitching on the outside of the vent, 5 millimeters apart. So now let's go to labels, tags, and packaging. So here is the label, tags, and packaging. And here we have the leather tag again, the neck tag again, and the packaging. So this will be that kind of frosty, opaque, milky, not super see-through kind of packaging bag that your garment would come in. And then all of that would go in the poly mailer or the box or whatever. Has a little white plastic shuttle on top, very fancy, very expensive. It's not that expensive. So graphics for front and back. I have the details here. Bottom of the graphic goes to the bottom of the bag. Keep these two names aligned in the center. Just some text here, some branding here. And yeah, just over explain. Not too, like, don't ramble, but explain what you think needs to be explained. If you explain a little bit and think, oh, what if they do this instead? Put it in. Make sure they don't do the thing you don't want them to do. This is part 2 of label tags and packaging. I wanted to do something different for the hang tag. I've never done hang tags before for my stuff, and I wanted to really go over the top. So I wanted to do my own zip tie, plastic zip tie, with 4 different hang tags: an informational cardstock hang tag, a laminated cut cardboard cardstock hang tag, and then a thank you paper confirmation type of hang tag. And all 4 of these will be hanging onto the zip tie, which will be hanging onto the neck tag, and it'll be sewn on both sides so the zip tie can easily be slipped in right in the middle. So I think that in terms of a packaging or like an unboxing experience, this just adds a bit more oomph, a bit more credibility, a bit more validity to the brand. Someone opens it up and it's got all these bells and whistles. It's just packaging. It's just tags. It's better than ripping open a poly mailer and then it's just the shirt. And that's it. It's like, there should be more. I paid $30 for this. I paid $100 for this. Where's the care? Where's the intent? That is the purpose of kind of going ham, going all out with something like this. So let's go to our stitching tuck details. I already pre-typed these in just to keep me on track for the video. So on this page, I took the back of my mock-up, I zoomed in like this little magnifying glass looking lines. This should be right there. And I'm basically showing the distance of each tuck, like the width of each row. So 0.8 inches for each tuck. There are 6 of them. And that's it. That's one page just dedicated to this one measurement, just to really get this specific detail in their faces. So this page is just about the back neck puffed vent. This reference picture is from the Blue Mech hoodie. This is a hoodie that my manufacturer that I'm gonna submit this Techpack to, they already made this for me, so I can just reuse a picture from the garment that they made. They already know the process, they're familiar with it, perfect reference to use. Make the puffed vent for the shirt that we're making exactly like this one, just like you did for my Blue Mech hoodie. Super easy there. So next is the placement of the leather patch on the pocket. It's 0.25 inches from this little, stitching seam line right here. And then the whole pocket will be 5.5 inches. I don't need the width because when I submit this entire Techpack to my manufacturer, I'm also going to submit just this pocket as a PDF, just this vent as a PDF, just this tag as a PDF. So if I give a measurement at just 5.5 inches for the height, they can just copy this exact shape and they already have the width for it. So whatever this width is, it'll be proportional to 5.5 inches. This last page is the placement of this pocket to the center of the shirt and the distance to the collar, as well as the placement of this back stitch tuck area and the distance of this mesh vent to the collar. So I drew a little dash line down the center. That's, anchoring the center of the shirt. I drew this line here to show pocket is 3.5 inches from the center. That's pretty clear and easy to communicate. But now we got to have the height. I can take the top of the pocket, and the closest thing to guide it or anchor it would be the bottom of the collar. So I went to my shirt in real life, took my measuring thing and just laid it on the ground, and I just eyeballed it. Or I grabbed a pocket tee from my closet and just copied that and found the center and said, okay, that's about 3.5 inches. Put the measuring tape up. Okay, the pocket's about 3-ish inches from the collar, and that's it. That's the measurement. Super easy. And this shows again the leather patch is 0.25 inches from the stitching area here, and leather patch centered on pocket as well with the 0.25 inches sticking. I spelled that wrong, but that's okay. I can fix it later. So for the mesh vent, it is 1 inches from the bottom of the collar. Super easy. Center line centered on the shirt. Super easy. Center the tucks to the shirt. Also very easy. And then I drew this. I make these fast by just pressing M in Illustrator, making the square tool, and just drawing a box. Shift C, direct select the line, delete. And now you have this little U staple shape, and you can adjust this how you want. Because you don't want this to be like, too crowded. You don't want to have a lot of stuff going on. If you have room, use it, and then draw like a little line to bounce it up. From collar to top of tuck shape is about 12 inches from here to here. How did I get that measurement? And I kind of take a step back and I'm looking at the measurement, the real life shirt, and I think proportionally and tastefully, where would this area be on the shirt? So I take my thumbs and I put them in the center of the shirt, like right here. And at the same time, I move my thumbs out and I kind of draw it. I kind of draw the both sides at the same time, angle it down, something like that. And that little marking, that little slight fabric canyon you make with your thumbs on the shirt, on the carpet, it stays in the fabric for a little bit. It's not as solid and direct as like if you were to use tape. Tape is also really good to get measurements and placements out on a real garment, and then you can take it off and then measurement. That's also a really good idea. But with this, I use my thumbs to just jam it into the shirt, make little lines, and I figured that 12 inches is the best distance between the collar and the top of this. And that's pretty much it for this t-shirt. I don't think I missed anything. I got my mock-up, I got the measurements I'm happy with, I got my call-outs, here and here, I got the colors, packaging, hang tag, specific details for the tuck, for the vent, for the pocket, for the placements of all of it. And maybe I did miss something that I'm really just not thinking of, and that would probably be communicated to me by getting the sample and then putting it on. Maybe the torso should have been a bit longer or a bit shorter. Maybe the tuck area should have been, a bit further down instead of 12 inches. Maybe it should have been 13 or 14 inches. There's things that you'll only really know for sure once you get the garment. But for the time being, with the elements that are on this shirt and what I know what I want, I can explain those as best as I can. I didn't explain screen printing or embroidery or rhinestones or specific things that you may have on your garment, but reverse engineer it a bit. You saw how I got to the measurements and the placements and described where things go and how things work on here. You can easily replace one of these with a rhinestone. Put the rhinestone here, make a red line that says, oh, the rhinestone is 5 millimeters across, 5 millimeter rhinestone. And then you could grab a rhinestone from Google or wherever and, this is your rhinestone right there, right? And that's the call out right there. There you go. And then over here, you would put, rhinestone line, rhinestone beads, rhinestone speeds, good enough for bystone. And then you can grab this little guy and be like, rhinestones right here on the sleeve. And then you could go somewhere in the placement area. You could screenshot this rhinestone area, hypothetically, drag it into your Techpack. You could say right here, my rhinestone, let's say, is like this. And I want it to be you know, 0.25 inches from sleeve stitching, something like that. Sure. You know, whatever you're making, you can explain it clearly, even if it's something you've never made before. Think about it backwards, reverse engineer it. It's not that hard. Techpacks are pretty easy. They're just tedious. They can take a lot of time, but you get in the groove of it. You get in the rhythm, you get in the zone, and you can fly through a Techpack in a matter of 2 hours, maybe. I've had Techpacks take a few hours over several days, like an hour here, 2 hours there, 2 hours here. But they're never gonna take you weeks to make. They are not that grueling. You just have to know how to properly explain stuff in a super clear way where the manufacturer reads it and knows, okay, they want this, and then they turn around, they go to their fabric shelf, they go to their hardware shelf, they go to their seamstress person and say, hey, they want this, and they're like, got it, and they do it, and it's right. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. My name is Seaggs. I got a YouTube, I got digital brand tools. See ya.